Hey everyone, KaiMo Films here, and I have a review of the MonsterArts King Ghidorah, almost forgot the character, King Ghidorah 2019. This is easily the most hyped figure, or the most hyped I've ever been for a figure, and I absolutely love this figure. I've had this figure for a few days, and so I've had my chances to really evaluate it and give it my full critique on it and just my full thoughts on it, and just really, develop my my opinion on this figure. So before we even get into the figure itself, we have to take a look at the box, because it's a pretty dope box. The box for this figure is absolutely amazing. I mean, the design of these new MonsterArts figures for the Monsterverse, at least for Godzilla King of the Monsters, is absolutely amazing. The aesthetic of it, the sleek, cinematic almost design of the black along with the gold, mixing in together and really bringing out the whole Ghidorah character with great color contrasts. It does have, of course, the Bandai seal of approval, I guess, and then the Tamashii Nations and Bandai logos, as well as it's a 2019 release, Godzilla's 65th anniversary, Toho, and then Legendary, Godzilla 2 up in the corner, and then the MonsterArts right by the window. So, in the front, as you can see, we obviously have a nice promo image of King Ghidorah, saying King Ghidorah 2019. On the side, oh Jesus Christ, on the side it says King Ghidorah 2019, which is really nice. On the back, you got nice promo shots of the figure, as many poses as you want to do with this figure. I personally am not going to do any poses this dynamic with the figure, but if you want to, knock yourself out. On the side, I have to back up the camera again. On the side, we have King Ghidorah, and then there's a nice promo image. Oh, excuse me. Then on the top, it just says King Ghidorah. Then on the bottom, it's got King Ghidorah, nice promo images, and then, as Robo on the Foosh would say, you're winning lottery numbers. So, with the box out of the way, we'll take a look at the figure. So, the paint on this figure is, pretty good for what it is. The base plastic color is a sort of mustard gold mix, and that is throughout the entire body, and it definitely fits Ghidorah. It does have shading along the wings. My lighting is absolute trash, so you won't be able to see it all that well, but it does have shading along the, I guess, ridges of the wings here and along the base, and then his stomach. Then he also has shading along his back. He has shading right here on his back, and that gives the back of the figure a little bit more pizzazz, as the wings on this figure, at least on the back, have pretty much no shading and no paint, which I can live with. Actually, I will live with, because I really don't care about the back of the figure as long as the front looks pretty. I am a happy camper. The teeth and the eyes are all fine on my heads. There's no 2014 or Shin Godzilla going on. All the eyes on my figure are, they're looking forward. They're sort of like the Yuji Sakai Godzilla 2000 SH MonsterArts, where the eyes are sort of looking forward, but they're looking up, just because of the design of that Godzilla. This Ghidorah sort of has a little bit of that, but not too much. On the inside of the mouth, he has a sort of like a gum looking, like a bubble gum looking color for the gums, and then along with the tongue, and then the teeth are, of course, the bone white that we've come to see. The only problem I have with the paint on this figure is that I wish the tail spikes were painted that bone color to give it that sort of bone look and make it actually look like a weapon, sort of like a mace, instead of just having it be the base plastic that the figure is casted in. So I guess we'll go into the articulation now. I'm going to use Kevin just for the meme of it. So all the heads can look all the way up with absolutely no difficulty. There are at least a dozen joints in the neck, so looking up and looking down especially, you will have absolutely no problem with. He can definitely, you know, look at pretty much anywhere you want. The outer heads have a little bit more difficulty going the opposite direction that they are on the body, if that makes sense. So Kevin here has a hard time going to the right, while the left or the right head has a hard time going to the left. So if I mess that up, I'll just, you know, the directions, I'll just put it in post. So my bad if I messed it up here. Then in the wings, they are a little bit limited, just the design and the absolute size of this figure. It doesn't allow for the greatest posability in the wings, but what you do have is pretty good. You can definitely lift the wings up, and as you can see, a flap, sort of like a membrane, comes out to hide the gap between the torso and the wings, and they can also flap forward and back, which is pretty good. And then the legs, they have pretty good posability too for the design. They do kick forward a little bit and then kick back a tiny bit. They do also have, as Jobby the Hong would say, a pretty decent spread. They do have a hinge at the knee as well as swivel and sort of an ankle rocker almost. Then I guess this would be the shin right here. That has a split right there and you can move it around pretty freely. And then a ball joint at the ankle, which can you know, move pretty freely. It does have a little bit of limitation just because of the sculpt of the shin piece. And here on the tails, there are about a dozen points of articulation or segmentations, which is pretty good for a Ghidorah figure, especially with this size of a tail, which is a lot shorter than I thought it would be. But anyway, it can definitely, you know, go to the side and go to the other side with ease, and then it can also lift up and, you know, be suspended in the air. Although that does pose a little bit of difficulty balancing the figure because it does lose a little bit of support in the back. Like I said, in the paint, the spike is the only problem I have with the paint, because it's just the base plastic, and a little bit more shading back there would have been much appreciated. In terms of accessories, he comes with a rather decent support system to support his weight. It's not the greatest support system, but it does definitely help with keeping his body weight from making him topple over. He comes with 3 bases, these sort of Y-shaped tripods almost, and then he comes with 2 different sized rods that have a ball joint at the end of them. The long one is about 3.5 inches, so about 9 centimeters, and then the smaller one is probably only about 2 centimeters, or 2 inches. And then all you have to do to put them on the base is just take this clip and then pop it on the ball joint and then just plug it onto the rod. It also comes with a crotch cradle, sort of the same way that Hot Toys, or at least some Hot Toys figures have. It does support the torso or the body pretty well on its own. However, I do recommend, you know, using the clips. But to assemble this, really, you just have to plug it in to the base. Just so you know, the base does have, it's not just like a triangle piece. It does have a bit of a Y shape to it. So for the crotch cradle, I would have the longer plastic leg, I guess, of the base facing forward, and then on the side, it doesn't really matter which way you have the stand. And to assemble the support rods, all you have to do is put the crotch cradle on Ghidorah's crotch area, and then lift up the wings and put whatever size rod you want, and then place the wing gently inside the clip. So for the size comparison portion, I have the SH MonsterArts Godzilla 2019 alongside the NECA Mothra 2019, and these figures work really well together, especially the Godzilla and King Ghidorah. Obviously they're from the same line, so they more than likely are in scale with each other, and then the Mothra, since it's from NECA and it's not MonsterArts, I'm not sure if it's in scale, but it definitely looks very good alongside both figures. And here is King Ghidorah next to the NECA 1962 Godzilla and the high-grade Gundam RX-782 plastic Gunpla model kit. So at the end of the day, do I recommend this figure? Absolutely. I absolutely recommend this figure. If you can find him for, I'd say no more than $250, I'd say get him. This figure is already sold out at a bunch of online retailers and comic book shops. While they are a great way of supporting local businesses, they are a little bit more expensive because they have to make a profit. But if you could find this figure for just at or around $250, no more, I'd say get him. The aftermarket has already gotten their hands on this figure, and so it's definitely within the next few months going to skyrocket in price like any other MonsterArts figure. So my advice is get him sooner rather than later, because like every MonsterArts released, once it gets out of stock and it's been a few years, the price will definitely go up. So like I said, my only complaint with this figure is I kind of wish the tail clubs, if you will, or tail maces had a bit more paint. But other than that, the articulation is great, the sculpt is great, the posability for the character and the design and size I think is absolutely great. It fits in scale with the SH MonsterArts Godzilla 2019, and they look absolutely beautiful together. And I can definitely say pick this figure up if you can. So that's really going to be it for this review. I don't think I'll do many more toy reviews. If there is demand for it, I definitely will. But until then, this is KaiMo Films, signing out.